called Flint and other cities. So we have now a situation within our midst that is not only winnable, it is a must. And I encourage you, our brothers and sisters and allies, please go to cbpm.org to sign on, / We Charge Genocide 21, to sign on your name. At this point, it's just signing on to the letter of intent. I'm going to put it in the chat room for you. But the letter of intent, we're asking for 400 plus representatives, delegates, to go with us sometime between December 10th and December 17th to take the first 1,000,000 signatures. 400 plus delegates representing all types of groups, organizations, concerned persons, etc. Just like Paul Robeson did. They took 100 and something. We're saying 400.
Thank you, Empress. You missed the first part, I think, where we said 10 minutes. George held up the 2-minute warning. So now we need to move on to Sister Tamu Kanyama. Sister Tamu, if you could begin with telling us your story. Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. I am Tamu Kanyama. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and my base organization is the African Community Centers for Unity and Self-Determination. I've been in the Black struggle for all of my adult life. I became involved with the Republic of New Africa in 1969 and later became a citizen. The Republic of New Africa believes in self-determination, in freedom and independence for our people. They also believe that all the land in America where Black people have worked on, fought to stay on, defended for long periods of time is land that is ours or should be ours. However, the claim is only laid for the 5 states in the South. Those states are Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, South Carolina, and Georgia. We work toward that. However, several citizens of RNA were able to move to Mississippi, relocate from several other states, and around 1969 or 70 to start organizing in Mississippi. We had 2 facilities there, 2 government centers. One center was serving as the headquarters for RNA. The other government center also served as residence for several citizens who had relocated to Mississippi. My husband and I were visiting Mississippi in the summer of 1971 when the government center was attacked by the FBI and the Jackson police. Well, a shootout occurred, and we were all arrested and put in jail. We were at one point, a couple of weeks after the arrest, we were taken to Parchman prison, where two of the other sisters, 2 sisters who were also arrested with us, RNA sisters, were with me. We in the women's maximum security. We were in separate cells, etc. But we stayed there for a short time. There's not much to tell about that particular place because what they did was basically ignored us. Some of the matrons would come and try and have conversations with us, but we never had anything to say to them. So I was there for 10 months. I'm not there, but we were moved back to the county jail. And there, shortly thereafter, the other 2 sisters were released for various reasons. I, however, stayed for 10 months. Most all the time that I was there, I was alone in my cell. There were other women in the cell block. Those cells usually house in between 1 and 4 women. However, no matter how crowded the jail block got, no one was ever put in my cell. I was there by myself always. And the women, we could talk to each other, but we couldn't see each other. And the jailers did everything they could to make my life miserable. They did things like my family and friends were always constantly sending packages to me. Things like with books, clothes items, blankets, and of course, food. Well, they began, the jailers would take whatever they wanted. They would just help themselves to whatever was in my boxes. I complained, but to no avail. The reason we were able to conclude that they were taking things because at some point, someone who had sent me something asked me about something that was in the box, should have been in the box, and it wasn't there. So then they started writing letters to precede the boxes as they came to me, so I would know exactly what I was to expect. But none of that mattered. It didn't do any good. They also did things to irritate me, like they would send people down to mop the floors and do other kind of cleaning in all the other cells. The whole time that I was there, my cell was not mopped one time. On one occasion, I asked to borrow a mop to be able to mop, do it myself. But of course, that didn't happen either. They would also do things like sending clean towels and other linen to the other people in the cell block, but oftentimes would skip me. Every now and then I would get some clean sheets and that, but many times they would give the other ladies clean linen and that, but just ignore the fact that I was there. They even went so far, the night jailer stopped sending food to me. Well, I really wasn't eating most of it anyway, but sometimes I might eat it, but I don't know if he did it because I wasn't eating the food, but he stopped sending me food, and I fussed about that, again, to no avail. But at some point he continued, started back sending it. So the time that I was there, nobody hurt me physically or anything like that. They just constantly did little things, just needling things, just trying to get on my nerves. Sometimes they would bring people down just to look at me and stand there for 10, 15, 20, sometimes half an hour, just standing there talking and looking. And I would keep my back turned. But anyway, finally I got out, was released. And at that point, my job was to do whatever I could do to help the brothers get out. Well, this went on. And then, my husband came home. He spent 9 years in there. When he came home, he had developed the African Community Centers for Unity and Self-Determination. The African Community Centers is a nonprofit tax-exempt corporation with the single aim of helping to develop and maintain functional unity among our people, among Black people here and worldwide. Functional unity. Functional unity is that level and quality of social organization and structure that naturally enables members of our community in building power to control the economic, political, and cultural life of our community. So we've done a lot of work here in the Atlanta area, but our basic plan is the 10-10-50 plan. And that is, it has 4 components. The first 10 is that we say that people in our community are doing things to help bring about a change for us, to create better conditions for us as a people, but they need help. Most of the organizations, can use some help and some energy brought to it. So that's one of the things that we do, is bring energy to those areas in our community that's doing the work to try and create better conditions for us and to abstract, to take away energy from things that are negative in our community. So anyway, the 10-10-50, the basic plan, we ask people to find such an organization that you feel is doing the good work, doing the work to uplift our people, and try and bring energy to that, to donate or to volunteer 10 hours of your time per month to that organization to help strengthen them, help them to achieve the goals that they're attempting to do. And the second component is the second 10 is to donate $10 a month, to at least $10 a month to that organization. Again, because they probably could use some financial assistance as well. So you find the organization that you think is good and doing a good job, and you want to give your energies to that. The third component of that is the 50. We ask you to redirect $50 a month, that $50 that you're spending outside of our community, redirect that and spend it with a Black business or organization or store. Now, we know that you're probably already spending money at Black businesses and Black stores anyway. So leave that intact, don't bother that, but redirect $50 that you're spending outside of our community and bring it back to our community to help stimulate that Black dollar as it flows through our community. So that's the 10-10-50. The fourth component is simply Imani, which is faith. Have faith that our people can do this and that it is going to work for us. Okay, so I think I don't know if I stated earlier that the African Community Center at this point has somewhat taken a nosedive, but we're in the process of building it back up and bringing more energy to it. And currently, but before I go into that, let me just say that some of the things that we have put in place here in the Atlanta area, we've put in place the Elder Council. The Elder Council is made up of elders in our community who has, a certain amount of respect and so on from the community. And what they do is help to solve problems and minimize our people having to run to the police and run to the courts here. So instead of going to the court, if let's say two people have a disagreement, instead of calling the police and going to the court, they come to the Elder Council, and that situation is usually worked out. And we've been able to solve several problems here in Atlanta with the Elder Council. Also, the Us Lifting Us Economic Development Cooperative was born out of the African Community Center, even though it is a separate entity all in and of itself, but it was born out of the African community centers. So again, we've put several things in place here in Atlanta, and we're in the process of rebuilding, and we will continue and to do more. And currently the volunteers at the African Community Centers are reconstructing our approach to making and promoting the opportunity for functional unity to the youth and really the entire community. But we've always been—
All due respect, Sister Tanu.
Okay.
You're past your time several minutes.
I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
Janet and Janine, Africa. I'm not sure in what order you want to speak, or if you want to combine your 20 minutes in whatever way. If you don't need the whole 20 minutes, it would be great, because we'll have more time for discussion, because I'm sure there are quite a few questions. But we really want you to tell about your struggle, particularly including the 1978 confrontation with the Philadelphia police, which led to the incarceration of many, as well as the 1985 bombing of Move. So if you would take your time to tell us about the struggle against the Philadelphia police, the weight of the US government, and the mayor of Philadelphia, two different mayors, to try to destroy the Move organization. Please let us hear from you now.
On the move. On the move. This is Janine Africa. I'm going to be a little condensed here because we're talking about 50 years of history. The above ground chapter of the MOVE organization surfaced in Philadelphia in the late 60s, early 1970s. Our founder, John Africa, who's a Black man, is the teaching that we follow. And John Africa is exposing this corrupt system. And we were demonstrating against police brutality, animal abuse, abuse of the elderly. We were exposed from politicians who put themselves on the promise of people in the community, and they did not do this. Once they got in office, all they wanted to do was make money. So through the teaching of John Africa MOVE was out there exposing all of this. And because we were out there demonstrating against all of this lies and corruption and brutality, they started calling the police on us. That's how the confrontations evolved, because the politicians and different officials and community activists put the police in between us and them. And the police had the orders to stop us by any means necessary. And that's why every time we did peaceful demonstrations, which is our right, the police would come, attack us, beat us, put us in jail, and charge us with assault. This went on for many years. And as a result, we had many of our babies killed through being beat, the women being beaten to miscarriages, to my sister Rhonda, who was 8 months pregnant. She was in the holding cell in City Hall. They were slamming her belly first into the heavy wooden furniture. After she was released, a day later, her baby was born with black and blue bruises all over his head, all over his body, and he died. My sister Alberta, she was spread eagle in the police station, and the officers, the matrons, kicked her repeatedly in the vagina until she miscarried. My sisters Janet and Lee Sing Africa was picked up by the police for no reason, held in the roundhouse without water, without being allowed to go to the bathroom, being harassed, name called, doing all kinds of stuff to them. They were both pregnant. My 3-week-old baby, Life Africa, was killed March 28th, 1976, when we were all in front of our headquarters celebrating family members that was released from prison. Police pulled up, said they had a call, it was a fight. We said it was no fight, it's just move people out here, welcoming our family home. Police surrounded us and attacked. And in their frenzy to get to my husband, Phil Africa, they threw me on the ground. I was holding my 3-week-old baby, Life Africa, stomped on me, causing the baby's head to be crushed. And the baby died. They tried to lie and say there was no baby, but the neighbors all came out and said there was a baby. The baby was healthy. So my family sent me away for the day and had clergymen, news reporters, and different councilmen come to the house to view the body of the baby. And they saw that there was a baby and that his head was crushed. So the way that they got around it in court was they said that we had to turn the baby's body over. And of course, we was not doing that. First of all, it's against our religion. And secondly, and importantly, we knew that once they got their hands on my baby, they was gonna lie and say that the baby died from some other reason. So with all the pressure on them, what they did was they released and dropped all the charges against the men and women that got beat that night, and refused to investigate and charge the police who were involved with murder, saying that pictures of the baby's body was not enough to charge and go to trial. Now, 2 years later, after they attacked and arrested us on August 8th, 1978, they tore our house down immediately after we was arrested, destroying the whole crime scene, and conducted the trial with pictures and said that was enough evidence to hold us for trial, to find us guilty. So this is the type of violent persecution the MOVE organization has been dealing with since we surfaced in Philadelphia. And we got sentenced to 30 to 100 years. The cop was shot one time with one bullet by one gun, and it was 12 adults in that house. We were in the basement. The police officer was standing above us on street level, facing us. The first reports about James Ramp was that he was shot in the back of the neck and the bullet traveled downward, making it impossible for MOVE to have killed this cop. But because we came out alive and because of the climate at that time and who the mayor was, Frank Rizzo, we were railroaded. The trial was a farce, and we were all given 30 to 100 years each. Our family refused to leave us in prison. We did all the appeals like they said we should, and for 7 years, every appeal we put in was turned down. They said we had no basis for a new trial. So our family went to the neighbors on Osage and told them that they were not going to leave us in prison and that they were going to push for an investigation. The neighbors said they agreed, they understood to be left in prison either. So our family went on a bullhorn demanding an honest investigation into the MOVE 9's imprisonment. And for that, they were given a bomb. Mayor Good, City of Philadelphia, dropped a bomb on our family and gave the order to the firemen to let the fire burn. And as our family tried to come out and bring the children out, they were shot back into the house. So all of this, because they wanted an honest investigation into our imprisonment. And at the time that they talked to Wilson Good, he was city managing director. And he told our family at several meetings, he knew that the MOVE 9 had been railroaded and that when he became mayor, the first thing he was going to do was have an investigation into our case. So when he became mayor, the same family members that met with him before went to his office and said, okay, you're mayor now. What about our family? He put them off. And the next thing we knew, he had the house surrounded, police everywhere, putting water on the house, shooting water in the house, tear gas, everything. And then the next thing, dropped a bomb and let the fire burn. Ramona, the only adult survivor, said they tried repeatedly to get those children out the house. And every time they came out with the children, they were the children because they were determined to kill everybody in that house. And all I can say is people, I know it's hard for people to believe, but it was on camera, it was there for the whole world to see. And you got Ramona here to tell the story that our family did nothing wrong and they were murdered, deliberately, blatantly murdered because they pushed for our release. They wanted us to have an honest investigation. And we did 41 years in jail because we dared to tell the truth about this system. We told them the truth they gave us prison, they gave us beatings. And this is what we had to face and deal with. But it was not in vain, because the work that we did, the things that we went through, paved the way for today. Because MOVE told people this is not a MOVE issue. This is an issue of justice. And if people allow this system to kill MOVE, to hurt MOVE, it would be at their doorstep. And after they dropped that bomb on May 13th, because they did not get the response from people that they felt they should, they felt like they had free reign to go through the Black communities and just kill at will. And that is exactly what they have been doing. They don't care that they're on camera. They go in the neighborhoods, you see it on the TV all the time, shooting the men in the back, shooting this woman in her car. She was having a epileptic fit. They shot her 72 times, killed her. Went in the house, the wrong house, for a drug bust, and shot this 82-year-old woman in her bed to death. And they said, oh, we was at the wrong house. Shot a 7-year-old little boy, went in his house, he had a play gun. They shot him to death. They have been running through these communities like they are allowed, they can play with it. Now, all of the examples is helping people to see what John Africa has been saying for 50 years, that this is a police state. And if people don't take a stand and show this government that they are not going to sit back and accept this brutality, this racism, they will run rampant all over them. But thankfully, we see people are starting to get it. They are starting to get tired of being abused, of being oppressed, and they are trying to do something, you know, and it makes us feel good about the work we did, about the things we had to go through, about the children that we lost. You know, not only did I lose my 3-week-old baby, Life Africa, in 1976, I lost my son, Phil Africa, in 1985. Janet lost her daughter, Delisha Africa. My sister Consuela lost her 2 daughters, Netta and Teresa Africa. My sister Rhea Sue lost her son, Tommaso Africa, in that house. We lost our sisters, our brothers. They said John Africa was in that house. We lost all our animals just for wanting this system to do what was right, an honest investigation. And you could see it now, because the people that are being shot down in the streets now, what have they done to deserve to be shot down like that in the streets in front of their family? You know, I saw on TV a man in the car with his little girl and his wife. When the police stopped him, he said, I'm reaching into my pocket to show you the license I have to carry a concealed weapon. He said it 3 times to this police officer. And as he slowly went in his pocket, that police officer opened fire on him and shot him to death, in his 4-year-old daughter and his wife. You know, these are the examples that people have been seeing now for these last few years, that's starting to push people, that is pushing this revolution. And it's a shame that we had to go through what we went through, and people have to go through all of this. But this is the wave, the push to get people to stop accepting what this system has been doing for over 500 years to people. Ever since the inception of this system, they have been enslaving and oppressing people, only catering to the money. And what people don't understand, and what John Africa teach us, is the money people are the minority. They made their money off of the backs of the people, and that they have to be careful and tread lightly, because it's no different than a herd of buffalo. When you put a maverick in that corral with them buffalo, they got to tread lightly or they'll be trampled, stampeded by that buffalo. And that is the power of the people. People have the raw power that's like a mighty wave. And when directed properly, this system cannot stop them. And this is what we had to show this system about MOVE. They see that they cannot stop us. In fact, the support for MOVE is bigger today than it was in 1970 because of John After and not stopping fighting this system.
On the move.
On the move.
So everybody should understand a little bit based on our story, the hardship that we had to suffer. You know, we've lost a lot, but we continue to fight because this exists. People need that you cannot compromise with a fool. You cannot compromise with murders. These people that run this system, they got their own laws, they got their own ideas, they make them up and force, intimidate people to live by that. And when you don't live by their rules and their regulations, because those rules and regulations aren't doing your health any good, aren't doing your children any good, then they tell you, shut up or we're gonna take care of you. When MOVE stood up against this government and told people how racist this government, this system is, how brutal this system is, they wanted to shut us up because they wanted people to keep believing, look, you have to be governed because if you're not governed, everything is just gonna be crazy. Everything is gonna be wild. But you see how they govern. They shoot innocent Black people. The majority of people that are in prison for crimes that they didn't commit are Black people. When they go to places for voting to try to cut the vote, make voting hard, where do they go? Black neighborhoods. See, the community has got to get together and understand that we need to keep fighting together because this system is not gonna stop on its own. They're gonna say, oh, they're not gonna say, okay, what we're doing to them is wrong, we gotta stop, because they want power, they want position, they want to be able to tell people what to do, but they're not telling people what to do that is right. John Acker teach MOVE to do what is right for life. The system teach people to do wrong and go against life. Fighting well and why they murdered 11 of our family members. And none of those people that were in that house on 1985, they had no crimes on them. They didn't have misdemeanors, nothing. They just went to that house because they wanted to annihilate everybody in the MOVE organization because they didn't want people to follow that example that MOVE set. They didn't want people to feel like threatened. You know, they want people just to follow this course that we say that you follow. But when they couldn't kill us on August 8th, 1985, and they sent us to prison for 41 years, then they went and dropped that bomb on our family in 1985 and murdered our whole family and our animals, like Janine said. And our family was fighting on our behalf to get us out because we were innocent. Then we were sent to jail for 41 years, and the people, this government knew that we were innocent. You know, and I'm not just saying that in words. 9 people, 1 gun, 1 bullet. 1 cop got shot and killed, and the bullet traveled downward. Now, how is it possible for 9 people to have shot that cop with 1 bullet? You see, so they framed us, railroaded us, and gave people the impression that MOVE people was crazy, that we was dirty. So in this way, they could justify what they was doing because they did a lot of denigrating to this organization. I mean, they tried to pull us down so bad and make people hate us just based on the things that they said that was not true. So people would read in the newspaper or hear something and they said, oh my goodness, look at their nappy head. Oh my goodness, look at, they was dirty. Or, oh my goodness, they had their children at home. They don't go, you know, ever the government does to them, serve it. They built that platform to make people like that about MOVE. People heard about MOVE, talked to MOVE. They saw we was nothing like this government tried to make people think that we were. That's why people love MOVE, because we stayed committed to this struggle and we intend to stay in the struggle. When we got in prison, got in prison, they tried to tear us down. The 41 years that we spent in there innocent, and we stayed committed and loyal to our belief, which should tell people something. Because you don't stay loyal and committed to something that you don't believe in, or that's not strong, or that can't sustain you. So the teaching of John Africa brought us through that 41 years of prison, and here we are today, still strong, still fighting. Long live John Africa.
Long live John Africa.
On the move, on the move. Thank you, sisters. We're getting ready to open up for questions and further discussion. But I do want to let you know, Janet and Janine, that yesterday I watched a film by Metrograph on what happened in 1978 when the police moved on the Move House. And it was just amazing how the neighbors came out and supported you. It's so much support for Move in the neighborhood. So we know that the state tried to kill you because you were deemed different. And Mayor Rizzo and those cops who came after you, they should not rest. And we should not ever forget what Philadelphia did to the Move organization. And watching that film yesterday with y'all speaking and seeing you getting arrested and hearing Ramona speak, we're gonna have to have Ramona in at some point on the Move. So we're gonna open up for questions so people can write their questions in the chat, or they can write in the
Can I
chat.
say one thing? Can I say one thing? I just want to let you know that our family and supporters around the world fought hard for us, endlessly for us, and we appreciate all that y'all did.
Well, what we appreciate that you survived 41 years of state torture. See, what Tamu talked about with the psychological torture and the things that they did to you was straight up torture. So we're gonna fight against it, and we charge genocide. So we're gonna be moving that campaign forward. And what was done to Move and what was done to all of our people in these gulags of the United States will be exposed. So George, are you watching the chat to see if there's anyone who wants to be on the stack?
We don't have anyone yet for stack, no questions yet.
Well, if we could prevail upon, we're hopefully everyone's enjoying this Women's History Month. We have 46 people in the meeting. This is the highest number of people that we've had in the meeting since we began in December. And so our goal is to continue building to 50 people in the meeting. So we thank all of you for being here and to have 46 people in the meeting to hear these powerful messages from the women in Move, from Tamu Kanyama with African Community Centers, and for Empress Chi, the architect of the National Million Women's March and the We Charge Genocide campaign. So everybody's saying thank you for your courage. So there are lots of thank yous. But I'm gonna prevail on our brother, Bilal Sunni Ali, because we're working to free all political prisoners. Mumia's case is a very serious case because Mumia is ill. Russell Maroon Schultz is also ill. We have political prisoners who are ill, and we need to get them out in a hurry. It would be a shame if any of our freedom fighters were left to die in prison. So if Bilal Sunni Ali can give us a report, comrade, can you give us a report on the campaigns that I mentioned and anything you would like to say? Thank you, Brother Bilal.
Thank you, Teresa, and thank everyone for for tuning in today. I want to say that the Imam Jamil Action Network had a forum last week entitled Community Under Siege, and where we had some of the names you mentioned had people represented, like Russell Maroon Schultz, Mumia Abu Jamal. For instance, we focused on what the government has done, because we say if people continue to look at the issue of our political prisoners as a legal issue, we'll be fighting the wrong fight. And what we need to look at in every case, that just in the few that was represented today, it was a matter of the government attacking those who became political prisoners, and it has been this continuously. We talked about we talked about the political prisoners under siege. In the first session, we talked about the community under siege, and we discussed things as the SWAT and the fact that the police departments are now receiving wholesale allotments of equipment, surplus war equipment. There's so much war going on around the globe that they bring the equipment back and give it to the police departments to carry on that same level of repression against our people here. And we had a session on what we are doing about it, and some of the things that were mentioned was the tribunals, and we announced the tribunal that is coming up, that is being sponsored largely by Jericho, but other people are joining the campaign for the tribunal. It's called the Spirit of Mandela Campaign, and the Spirit of Mandela Campaign International Tribunal. In that tribunal, we intend to charge the United States. We'll be charging the United States government with violations of our human rights against our prisoners and against our population. We're asking people to continue to support Mia Abu Jamal, to continue to support the RNA and the entire movement for self-determination. I just want to stick out my chest a minute and brag about the fact that my son, Kofi Shakur Ali, is being sworn in today as the Minister of Defense of the Republic of New Africa. So this is a movement, a continuous series of organizations and structure that people have struggled to remain to. And some of us have moved out of that structure and built other structures. And we're continuing to struggle for self-determination as we try to make sure in raising our children that they would not be the victims of COINTELPRO, as one of the objectives of COINTELPRO was to make sure that there would be no influence from one generation of revolutionary nationalists to the next generation of revolutionary nationalists. And we see now we have children, and grandchildren who are active, not just active, but leaders in the movement. I went to a program with Jericho where we had the children and grandchildren of the Move family. So we are struggling to continue to struggle, and to continue to raise our children to struggle. Our web address is www.imamjamilactionnetwork.org, www.imamjamilactionnetwork.org. Another very important web address to us is www.imamjamil.org. what happened to rap.com, and you use the number 2. What happened, number 2, rap.com. And we will be continuing to work with Empress Chi and the work that she's doing. We've been involved in that, and we'll continue to work with that. And of course, continue to work with Sean. And we invite everyone to please work with organizations who are struggling to free our political prisoners. We say there is no freedom without the freedom of our political prisoners. One of the workshops that was presented by Nkechi Taifa last week was that the freedom of our political prisoners is a down payment toward reparations. So if they want to talk about reparations, if they want to have talks to us about reparations, they need to free all of our political prisoners first, and then we can sit down. But they have to pay that down payment, and that's the down payment that we're demanding, and we're looking for.
Brother Bilal, we have some questions in the chat, and at least one person who put stack in here. I'll read this first question, and then Teresa, maybe you can read the next one. This question is from Trey, and it's for anyone. What is your take on transformative justice? Have you had any practice with community-based accountability? I'm gonna think possibly Sister Tamu might be a good person for this question.
George, if we could hold for a moment, because Asa Gordon has his hand up, and I would appreciate it if Brother Asa Gordon introduces himself and makes his comments. We're asking folks speaking in the discussion to keep their comments to 3 minutes. And then we can read those questions and let Sister Tamu answer. And someone also asked a question about the current situation in Philadelphia as it relates to the MOVE organization. So we do have several questions on the table, but if Brother Asa Gordon, his name sounds really important to me, and I'm trying a hard time to get over my senior moment to remember. So Brother Asa Gordon, if you could say who you are and a little bit about your history, take about 3 minutes. Brother Asa Gordon, please.
Yes, Asa Gordon. I'm a curator with the African American Civil War Museum, and right now I'm curating for a new exhibit that's going to be coming up there called the Voting Rights Legacy of the United States Colored Troops, and this just a historical context and focus on the Republic of New Africa. In my research for this, some of these exhibits have been put up, I ran across the fact that during Reconstruction, there was a separate nation that was set up of those of African descent on the South Sea Islands. And they actually drew up a constitution that kind of mirrored the US Constitution. The first president was Tuis G. Campbell, a veteran who came from Canada and was a veteran of the United States Colored Troops. And they set up trade with the continent. They set on some of the plantations in the South Sea Island. And they set up a nation that included St. Catherine's Island, St. Jekyll's Island, and DeSapio Island. And so there's a historical, precedent for there being an independent nation that was set up, and it existed for about 4 or 5 months. And I was wondering why the Republic of New Africa and some of their pleadings did not, address these territories, which has a historical legacy of actually having been set up an independent nation of those of African descent, former United States Colored Troops soldiers who settled on those islands. And matter of fact, there was an instance where they actually defended St. Catherine Islands against former plantation owners who tried to reestablish claim on it. Now, all of it, ended up with the ending of Reconstruction. But I just wanted to say, give context that there's a historical context for an independent, separate nation that had been set up during Reconstruction. Um, and if the Republic of New Africa has ever thought of, putting this in this historical context in their pleadings.
Thank you.
That's all I
Thank
want to say
you.
about it.
Thank you, Brother Asa Gordon. Thanks for reminding me about your work and for letting everyone know. I do want to say to everyone that all of these sessions have been recorded. And I put the website of the Southern Anti-Racism Network in the chat a couple of times. I'll do it again. But for the first 3 sessions, you can go to the website, and the first thing you'll see is session 1, 2, and 3. And session 4 will go up in about a week. So you can relive this important historical presentation. And I'm going to call on Sister Tamu and perhaps Brother Hakima. I see that he's in the call. There have been 2 questions asked that I think relate to the functional unity process, and they have to do with the use of elder councils as leading to restorative justice, if I could paraphrase. So I think people are asking for a little bit more on how the elder councils work as it relates to resolving disputes. Because one of the things, Brother Bilal, that in order for us to actually meet the reality of freeing political prisoners, we do need to have a level of unity that we have not achieved yet. Kwame Ture used to say, we have unity of action. In other words, we can run out and do a demonstration real quick, but we have failed to achieve unity of thought, where we can actually develop a strategic plan that says, who are the folks who can let our people out, and what do we need to do to get them to do that? Because we are making demands on the state that we have not been able to achieve yet. And I say we have not been able to achieve them yet, Brother Bilal, because we have failed to unite in the power that we once had when we were able to change laws, get our voting rights, and other things of that nature. And yes, the prisons are full of our people, and it didn't start out with them being political prisons. The state moved on folks like the MOVE organization saying you're a criminal just because you're different. So it starts out that way, and then people end up becoming political prisoners of the state. But it doesn't start out that way, because we have got to fight the police state in a big way. I want to lay that out. So after Brother Hakima and Sister Tamu answer the questions about what are we doing about it in terms of functional unity and the use of elder councils in that role. And by that time, hopefully other people will be able to respond to how do we do strategic action to get our people out, Brother Bilal. So Tamu, do you or Brother Hakima want to go on the question of functional unity and the elder councils? I can't hear you, Tamu. Unmute yourself.
So specifically, you're asking what the elder council is doing in reference to what? I can't hear you.
What you said when you did your talk was that the elder councils resolve disputes instead of calling the police
Yes.
on each
Yes.
other. Then we
Right.
build unity in the community by resolving our disputes. So just in practical form, how does that work?
A person would submit a form to the council, a request to the council, and about the dispute that they're having with the other person. The other person would be contacted and, you know, see if they are willing to submit to the outcomes of the whatever the results are from the elder council. Because, you know, you have some people in the community who may not, you know, really want to be involved. It depends on where they are, where their head is. So, but generally, we so far we haven't really had that kind of problem. But they will submit, and then the other person will, you know, agree to that they want to come together with this, and they will sit and they would tell their sides of it. The elder council, with support, will talk about it and just kind of dissect what's going on, and then they will come up with, you know, solutions or suggestions, offer it back to the individuals. And generally speaking, so far it's been, you know, pretty effective. They've been able to resolve the issues for them.
Well, thank you, Sister Tamu. Brother Hekima, do you have anything to add?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we hear you fine.
Good, good, good. I apologize for the picture being up there. But of course, the elder council and the other things that Mama Tamu mentioned is just an effort to give greater order and predictability to what we do in the community. And of course, around the whole concept of unity. And so the elder council is just one plank. The brother that presented a little while ago and talked about the historical context of nationhood for us, and I appreciated that because, of course, our brothers and sisters on the coast of Georgia and South Carolina and Florida were in fact recognized as a nation and actually participated in the election of a president, Tunis Campbell. So that whole area, the islands, and then part of the shore was in fact considered the beginnings of a separate existence for us as African people, and just a part of the legacy of ourselves and any people who are sane on the planet who wanted to reconstitute the family and establish policies and governance processes for them so that they could be safe and prosperous. Those are the only comments that I would want to make. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Brother Hekima, because I think you did answer the question from Brother Asa Gordon. See, the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa, which was started in 1968. And when Tamu told her story, it definitely related to the fact that people came together to move that vision forward. Now, those of us who are from Georgia who know about the Sapelo Islands and other areas, which we know were Black people fighting. And we know that we are all on stolen land. So I live in Columbus, Georgia, Brother Asa, where Fort Benning is erected on stolen land from the Muskogee and from the Cherokee. So when you go over to Fort Benning, you see the different markers of the different battles that the Army had with the Muskogee and with the Cherokee as they forced them off that land. This country is so arrogant, they would show how they stole the land out in the open. It's all kinds of markers about how they stole the land. So as we proceed to reclaim our reparations that have been promised to us, we have to have a level of unity, Brother Bilal, where we have to get, it's great to hear about your son being sworn in today, but more people need to understand the concept of the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa. It's kind of esoteric at this point. There's some of us who are older, who lived through the 60s, who understand when that came about. But the reality is, it's a part of our history and our fight for liberation that very few people really know about. So I know I'm talking too long. I'm taking kind of moderator, whatever, but let me stop. And so we really need people to respond to how we build the kind of functional unity that is organized. And I'll stop now to let someone else speak, but I will tell people what the objective of these Umoja unity talks. So, Brother Bilal, would you like to say something about the Republic of New Africa, since you're probably closer to it in reality than anyone else in the meeting today? At least that's my estimation. If there's someone else who is closer to the Republic of New Africa and its current governmental structure, please raise your hand so you can speak. Otherwise, Brother Bilal, George is being a real taskmaster. So she's saying you got 3 minutes.
Okay, in the first minute, I'd like to say that that this weekend is New African Nation Day. It is the anniversary with 52 years ago, the conference that formed the Republic of New Africa is still that took place. It took place this weekend. That's why the Republic of New Africa is having its Nation Day ceremonies that are having those swearing in of all young people. And in addition to this effort, we've formed a group. Number of us older people have formed a group that's referred to as the Black Belt South Working Committee on the UN declared UN declared decade for people of African descent, and in those discussions, we've been very impactful on this year's electoral process, and we'll be soon coming out with history, so we'll see how this effort is continuing. And we also recite the Port Royal experiment that that Brother Asa was referring to, and the fact that this effort is mixed with many people who were part of the struggle to free political prisoners, and so that's one of the things we can do, and you can look it up. You can look up Republic of New Africa, and you can also find information about the UN declared International Decade for People of African Descent. I hope I've stayed within the time. I yield.
Yes, sir, Brother Bilal. We thank you so much for the wealth of information you provide for your many years of being involved in the struggle and helping us to see what unity is like. And I would say in the Atlanta area, one of the things that folks in Atlanta know about is the community in the West End, where Imam Jamil El-Amin was arrested. That community has been known in Atlanta to be self-sustaining and with a serious expression of self-determination. I've known about the African community centers, and I think that Tamu is a little hard when she says something to the effect about a nosedive. Well, the importance of these pockets of unity in the Atlanta area is significant. And the question becomes, how do we reduce the fragmentation and how do we replicate this concept of functional unity and African community centers in the way that the West End has done, and the efforts towards unity coming out of the African community centers. So being in Georgia, I'm kind of partial to that. But I want to acknowledge Tawaya Roberts Omar, who just joined the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, but she also has an organization called AUM. And so I'm going to put her on the spot just to introduce herself and to say a little about could you, Tawaya?
Greetings. Thank you for the opportunity. And I am thoroughly enjoying all of our beautiful brothers and sisters bringing forth effort and work. The AUM movement is the African Unity Movement, and the purpose is to unify for the purpose of organizing for ultimate liberation and freedom. And so all of you guys who are putting in massive work, we will definitely be in contact with you, because what we definitely want to do is move as one voice so we can get the most results. Thank you so much, Teresa El-Amin. Man, this is crazy. I'm really excited to be a part of this movement, definitely.
Well, thank you. And we're so glad to have the younger women joining us. And so today I met with Kiara Hudson, who is so far the youngest member of the Atlanta branch of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. And if Sister Kiara is still here, I wish she would turn on her camera and just say hi. She's 30 years old and she's been in the Atlanta area for a few months. So if she had to leave, let me just say what a pleasure it was to meet her today and to have her join on with you, Tawaya. I think she is somebody who's working with you, Tawaya. So it was great to meet her today. So she's part of the movement we're building in Atlanta, just so you know. Now I believe I'm told that Alida Toure, who's with the Black Alliance for Peace, that she's in the meeting and she has something she would like to say. So is Sister Alida Toure available to speak now?
Yeah, on the move.
On the move.
On the move. Yeah. I wanted to say I just had a message because Janine and Janet was on our program for the Parable of the Sower. That group that we have, which is basically came out of the Republic of New Africa because of the work when I was running the Malcolm X Center with Ahmed and Mama Zenobia. So with working with Mamiya, who we all should be like gearing up to be free. My question was to the two of you. One of the biggest things in today and when you are with our panel is not so much reparations like Bilal saying we want our political prisoners free and we need to unify on a message. Mamiya said in our, just recently, he was on our TV show, he said that we need to come together because of a collective conscience about who are we, And one of the things that some of the younger people are trying to learn to do from the National Lawyers Guild is write briefs. You know, even myself, when my mom was beat down by 6 cops when she was pregnant with me, our stories are not unique. This is happening because of who we are, right? So I'm okay, right? I can say I'm her child, but it is my generation and my daughter, as you know, who was the MC also. We are trying to say we should all be writing legal briefs for reparations. And that would mean, Janine, you know, you saying what happened to your child. My mom saying what happened to her when she was pregnant with me. Me saying what happened to me, who is a person that now has post-traumatic disorder, things that happened to me because I was in her womb when 6 cops beat the hell out of her with a bully club. And those are the things that we're saying that everyone can partake in by writing a brief. And that brief should come together in a reparations pile. Of course, we don't know what that looks like, Teresa, if we put all these together, but it's a step forward to say we all have a responsibility to document our grandparents, our ancestors, and all those that have been treated unfairly and put them together as a reparations pact to not only ask for for those political prisoners to be released, but for other types of reparations. So I wanted to ask Janine and Janet, have you all ever written anything down to say that there's more that needs to be done since all these falsities happened to you, like a legal brief? Is that something that you have done when you were in prison? And have you all written anything as a document?
Well,
Janet, yeah, and Janine.
When my baby was killed and our brothers was beaten, we had filed a suit in court about the situation. And what they did was they waited until the education to put it in court and said we had to appear in court or the case would be dropped. And we said, you know, they knew the circumstances, so we had somebody to represent us. We said we send these people to represent us, but because they didn't want to do anything anyway, they said, no, that will not be allowed because it has to be a lawyer. Well, we found a lawyer that was willing to go in to represent us, and they said, no, one of us that was part of the suit had to be present in the courtroom. So that's what happened on the actions that we took back in '76. Now, we haven't done anything since then about the situation because it's all been really in the hands of the people. You know, we've taken our case to the people. And that's how we did it. You know, we went through those steps of the legal process only to make a point to people to show that there was no justice in the court system for Move and anybody else that wasn't money rich. And that was the point of it. We did not expect them to really act on our appeals or our civil suits, because at that point, that meant they had to admit that Move John Africa is right and that the cops and city officials were wrong, and they were not going to do that. But we had to take those steps to show people, because people didn't understand. The first thing they would ask is, did you appeal it? Did you follow a civil action? So we did that to show people when we took those steps, and it was denied at every level, you know, and then people understood when we said we got to take this to the people, because that's where the justice comes from. John Africa explained to us this system is not going to do anything in our interests, even to the point of something that's seen as being right. They're doing it for their interest because they got pressure on them and they don't want no repercussions. But that's just how it is, you know. But
would you all write a
civil
now?
action.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Would y'all write a brief now with, if there was a brief legal insurgence of different movements, right? Because of what's happened, it's still relevant now. It's still, you know, some of our ancestors still have it in courts or in the Library of Congress. And John Conyers, although he wrote that whole thing for reparations, he's not the only one battling this. So I'm wondering if you would do a legal brief again. Like I was born 52 years ago, but I'm still going to do a legal brief about that day where they beat my mom. And we're trying to see if others would. I'm sorry, I concur.
Well, Sister Alita, one of the points that Brother Bilal and I think Janet and Janine Africa are making, that we can't kind of go to the legal system without more power than we've been able to assert up to this point. And so the legal brief sounds like one tactic or one tool. But what those of us know who've been in this movement, it is the might of the people's voices and our turning out by the hundreds of thousands that have brought this system to do a single thing on a single demand. We had to fight like all get out in order to get the Voting Rights Act passed in '65, to the tune of John Lewis and a whole bunch of people having their heads bashed in. So we charge genocide, and that's a movement that we're building. We must go to the international courts, and we must exercise our rights under the Convention Against Corruption. We must exercise our rights at the UN. See, when the Women's International League was founded, the women went to The Hague in 1915 and said, enough is enough. Many of the leaders of the movement to free all political prisoners have gone to Geneva on many occasions. The UN sides with us, but because we are so fragmented and disorganized as a movement, we have not been able to follow through on the fact that we have the international United Nations on our side, coming here saying, yes, we deserve reparations. Yes, we deserve to get the prisoners out. But there are things we have to do. And presenting legal briefs to the courts is one activity. But the main activity we've got to do is to become more unified. And I just want to say that the purpose of these unity talks, Sister Alita, and we would love for us to build something so that we can have a couple of representatives from each of the entities in our movement that are building something. The New African Independence Party represented in this meeting, the Imam Jamil El-Amin Action Network represented in this meeting, the African community centers, the Us Lifting Up, the New Abolitionist Movement. We would like to see people come together as Black folks working on our self-determination to form what we're calling the Umoja Unity Council. See, we committed, Sister Betty, we committed to 9 months to get there. So we started in December. So Sister Betty has spoken at one of our talks. Pam Africa has spoken. So we have done 4 sessions. We're gonna go all the way through April, May, June, July. We're gonna do 4 more sessions, Sister Alita. And we've decided that we wanna have current or former political prisoners speaking at each of those sessions. So Sister Empress is gonna try to get us if a recording of Mumia Abu Jamal to speak at our April session. April 24th, if I remember correctly, is Mumia Abu Jamal's birthday. So when he speaks at our session by recording or whatever, we can support him by putting something on the books for him. When Reverend Joy Powell can submit a recording, we can support her. She's a current political prisoner. Hopefully we can get Brother Eddie Conway, we can get Muhammad Ahmed, and we can find some other women to take us through July. So that's the plan. But when we get to the July session, comrades, we have to be able to have a commitment of at least 5 organizations to say we will be a part of the Umoja Unity Council. And so in Black August, when the council comes together to meet, then we meet to plan, consider, and begin to execute. How are we gonna get Mumia out if he's not out by then? How are we gonna get Imam Jamil out? Because the focus of this is the urgency of getting the political prisoners out right now in a hurry. So that's what we want to form, is the Umoja Unity Council. Sister Betty, let us hear from you. Your hand is up.
Sure, someone may have mentioned this, but I've been back and forth with a family crisis, so I may have missed it. But the National Jericho Organization is sponsoring a tribunal, a human rights tribunal for the political prisoners, and they really would welcome this type of unity to sign on. They're holding this tribunal on human rights in October of this year, and they've already contacted a number of jurists to actually plead the case for the violations of human rights. And within that context, they have gone all over the United States asking academicians and others to submit documentation as proof of the genocide. So if you Google National Jericho or contact Brother Jihad, who I think has also been on this call, I'm not sure, you can get more information about their tribunal. I hope that there will be the unity that you are talking about, Sister Teresa. But right now, National Jericho is planning a human rights tribunal, and they have jurists from all over the world who have signed on to participate in this.
That sounds like perfect timing, because if we can create a unity council in August that could go into that session in October, that would be a real move forward. So that's what you will hear us bring up over the next 4 months, because Brother Bilal did mention the tribunal. I had the benefit of being in some of those sessions last weekend. So I did hear from Russell Maroon Schultz III. I did hear from Pam Africa. I did hear from, I believe, Akinyele Umoja. So I was participating in the conference that the Imam Jamil Action Network held last weekend. So I got a chance to hear some of that. So I feel a sense of coming together. So I do want to ask Empress Chi to make her announcement about the session she has tonight. And then hopefully when we meet the middle of April, we will have secured Mumia Abu Jamal and perhaps Reverend Joy Powell for the April 24th session. Keep in mind that these sessions are always the last Saturday of every month. So mark your calendars, the last Saturday of every month. May 24th is next. And I know our last session for the political prisoners speaking is July 31st. And we're trying to make sure that we have Muhammad Ahmed on July 31st. Because having been my teacher for many years, I do know that that's his birthday, and he will be 80 years old. and hopefully he's still doing well. He sent me some mail recently, so that's a good sign. So this is what we want to try to accomplish as we come together. And I want to thank again the members of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, the members of the Green Party Black Caucus that I'm noticing who are in the meeting, and all the other organizations that are represented here today. So as we continue these conversations, it's my hope that we will develop some functional unity. So Empress Chi, could you do just a quick 2-minute announcement so that we can play Ella's song and give people a chance to save the chat because there's lots of important information in the chat. So Empress Chi, what do you have going tonight?
Yes, greetings, and thank you all again. This was another wonderful session for the Umoja Unity Talks, and certainly next month is going to be even more powerful, and we know it's going to build as we grow. We do expect to have message from Mumia, and we got some other hopefully surprises for you as well. Tonight is our weekly broadcast. We do it every Saturday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This is our 13th year, and it is live at www.blogtalkradio.com/Empress Chi, or you can call in at 319-527-6189. Tonight, joining us live is going to be Alderman Rue Simmons. In Evanston, Illinois, they just did an incredible thing with reparations. They literally passed legislation that is going to begin a process. This is the first of its kind. And the representative that'll be joining us tonight, Sister Alderman Rue Simmons, will be joining us to tell us about how they happen, what's getting ready to happen next. And that's what we're doing, to build with brothers and sisters of similar and like minds who are really doing the work that we know our ancestors want. So again, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you should miss it, it's okay, because all of our programs are archived for the past 13 years.
Thank you, Empress. So we're gonna save the chat. Everybody save the chat. So George, if you could hit it on Ella's song as people save the chat. Thank you.
We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. Freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Until the killing of black men, black mothers, sons, is as important as the killing of white men.